On January 1st, Cobra Kai Season 3 dropped on Netflix.
Send it to the internet!
Now that you've had the weekend to binge the full season, it's time to stop and rank all 3 seasons of Cobra Kai from the good to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your ranking of all 3 seasons of Cobra Kai. My list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours.
I have spoken.
If you don't know, I've already done a ranking of all the Karate Kid movies, as well as a bunch of Cobra Kai content. You can check that out in this playlist right up here when this video is over with. And as a point of reference, I like all the seasons of Cobra Kai. I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch, but it is a ranking.
If you ain't first, you're last.
So let's get started. Coming in last place is Season 2. It might be in last place, but this season is just as bingeable as the other 2. This show just does such a great job of telling self-contained stories with each episode, and then at the end, something new is introduced, a cliffhanger, a plot twist, a misunderstanding that makes it so you just have to keep watching all the way up until the end of the season.
Excellent!
Once again, so much of the conflict is built around real misunderstandings, different perspectives of characters, whether between Daniel and Gianni or all of our hormonal teenagers. Likewise, the addition of Kreese is a nice dynamic change for the Cobra Kai dojo and Johnny's position on the show. One of the standout episodes would be when Johnny meets back up with his Cobra Kai gang that touches on a lot of really cool stuff.
You still got one thing that's more important than anything, Johnny. You still have time.
And like with the first season, it kind of creates this web of conflicts that keep building, ratcheting up the tension, all leading to a big, gigantic showdown in the final episode with a massive, massive cliffhanger with what happens to Miguel. But with the hard shift at the end of Season 1, where they turned the Cobra Kai kids from confident losers into actual bullies, it threw the dynamic of the show off, and I feel like it lost a little bit of its focus.
You stay focused.
So much of what I loved about Season 1, as well as the original Karate Kid, was that central storyline about this high school loser that's getting bullied, that finds an unlikely mentor that helps him find his confidence, and by the end, he becomes a winner. And in Season 2, that kind of gets lost in the mix because we've turned the Cobra Kai kids evil. There's not really anyone specifically to root for. We don't really know what we're building towards, what we should want to happen, so it's tough to fully care when it does happen. Likewise, this season seemed to put the focus a little bit more on the teenage politics, the love triangles, as opposed to Daniel and Johnny. And for me, I enjoy the Daniel and Johnny stuff a good bit more.
You have a problem with that?
Now, it was nice to see Robbie get a bit of a redemptive arc here and be fairly heroic throughout the season. The thing that really frustrated me is that there wasn't much of that mentor relationship with Johnny and Miguel in this season, and I think that that was a big loss here.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
But as I've repeatedly said, I still really enjoyed this season. Our runner-up is Season 3. What I think they did so well here is take the events of Season 2 seriously. The season kicks off and the events of the school fight rock everything. And because of all of this, I think it gave the show a lot more clarity of who's good, who's finally progressing a bunch of the character arcs and plot lines that I thought were getting a little bit too cyclical. Some of the stuff with Miyagi-Do Cobra Kai comes to fruition in this season. It develops, moves forward, especially as you move into the finale and you realize Daniel and Johnny are going to team up for the true enemy here, that it just felt like the proper place to bring all of this. That the problem wasn't what Johnny was doing, the problem was what Kreese was doing back in the 80s and what Kreese is doing now, and it was so satisfying to see where this season took things.
Kawabunga.
And likewise, there was a renewed focus on those key dynamics that are most interesting about this show. One of the big ones there would be the return of the Miguel-Johnny mentor relationship that has all the emotional punch of the season, but it also leads to a bunch of great Johnny moments.
It's all right, you felt like a champ.
And I really enjoyed what they did with Johnny and Daniel's relationship, where you start to a lot more develop it and see that they do have a really nice chemistry together. They can work together really well if they could just work through their resentment for one another. And by the time you get to the end of the season, you even have Allie returning and calling that out, that you guys actually aren't so different from one another. Then this is also peak Kreese, his most manipulative, but also his most sympathetic, where you see him doing things to help people, and they give us these flashbacks that show him before he went to Vietnam and had a bit of a heroic, positive side to him as this underdog, and then what happened in the war broke something inside of him. And finally, as a lifelong Karate Kid fan, I loved all the references to the original trilogy. Now, as much as I loved a lot of this season, I did have some frustrations with it. First off, is that because of what happened at the end of the season, it felt like they just had to split everyone up and go off in their different directions.
Not a great plan.
Second, while I really enjoyed the concept of the Kreese flashbacks, when they started going into actually the Vietnam War, I just don't think they had the production value to pull some of that off. And when they went to the level to which they were POWs and being forced into mortal combat over a pit of cobras, finish him! It just went so cartoonish while dealing with the actual Vietnam War, which is kind of a serious subject. I just don't think that was the right way to go with that.
Wow. That was weird.
And then they elevated the villainous behavior of the Cobra Kai to such a level that it kind of strained a bit too much plausibility. Granted, Cobra Kai has always been known for their cruelty and bullying.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that?
But that's not quite the same thing as committing overt felonies in public and sending someone directly to a hospital. Now, I'd been waiting for this season ever since I binged season 2 a year and a half ago, and it did not disappoint. But in first place is season 1. I remember when I first heard about Cobra Kai, and I was not happy about it. It sounded like another lame, ill-conceived Hollywood reboot revival that was going to be awful.
No! God, please, no! No!
But what a pleasant surprise. What sounded like a terrible idea ended up being this surprisingly respectful continuation of the Karate Kid while being its own thing and really funny. William Zabka as Johnny is an absolute legend here.
Hey, brohams. Want to score those hot babes? Try karate.
This show just lets Johnny be this relic of the past, and it's hilarious and it's awesome. And I'm truly shocked the show gets away with being so proudly non-PC.
So you can leave your asthma and your peanut allergies and all that other made-up bullshit outside. Is that understood? And you don't want to be a pussy. You want to have balls.
Don't you think you're doing a lot of genderizing?
What?
What I absolutely love about this season is that in many ways, it's a retelling of the original Karate Kid. It has all the character types, it has all the plot beats of that story, but they're all explored from a very different direction. Johnny is the new sensei. He's a middle-aged man who doesn't quite have direction. He's all alone, like Mr. Miyagi in that sense. But as a person, as his background, as his personality, he's nothing like Mr. Miyagi. So it gets all the satisfying payoff that you got from the original story, but it does it in an all new way.
We did it! We did it! All right!
Likewise, because it's a TV show, it's able to add so many more layers to everything that's taking place. Here, it intentionally presents everyone as having good and bad sides, and so much of it is a matter of perspective. It's not that this group is bad and this group is good, it's the individual choices that are made in particular moments by the people that are making those choices that determine whether it's good or bad. What this season does so well is build the conflict based off reasonable misunderstandings in different interpretations of events, especially in the case with Johnny and Daniel. They look back at the summer of 1984 and they see things from very different perspectives. Everything that happens, there's two sides to the story, and that builds the foundation for the show and even the conflicts that happen with the present day teenagers and their own misunderstandings. People interpret moments incorrectly, and you care about it when it happens because they did the hard work of earning each of that moments. And remember, it's also really, really funny. I can't believe how good this show turned out to be. And even when I rewatched it for the third time just a couple weeks back, I absolutely loved it and I was hooked. So it comes in at number 1. If you like this video, remember I've got a ranking of the Karate Kid movies right there, and I got a bunch of other Cobra Kai content right down there, and I'll be ranking the characters in just a few days. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much.